The entire space is still very much operating like one giant startup. So if you work in a project or a crypto protocol, if you aren't in like Binance or a very, very large established VC like A16Z, for example, you are very likely in a very small startup that is in a startup industry itself. So then it creates like a environment of like very, very fast pace and very high rate of growth, as well as just general innovation happening. So that can be very, very interesting and very exciting for some people, but it's also not for everyone. Like not everyone is kind of like suited for a very high, like I guess like very fast-paced environment. So like if you want to work in a space, you have to be like really, really okay with that. And there's a ton of like challenges which also comes along with that. Like like your whole job scope might change quite quickly depending on your or on the stage of whatever which are joining. And there will be a ton of like challenges because you are trying to like solve really difficult problems, and there isn't really like a roadmap per se on how you go about doing that. There's a lot of things which you have to learn while you're going through it. So because of that, you can kind of like grow and learn a lot, but it comes at a cost of you have to be willing to kind of put in the effort. So it's not really a space that I would recommend to everyone because like it's just different personalities and just like different kind of like lifestyles, I guess. But the plus side is that if you are interested in a space and if you want to work in a space, the space has one of the more meritocratic systems where it's really based on what you have done and what you can actually bring to the table versus I guess your so-called credentials. Like in most cases, like if you're in like TradFi, for example, you want to get into like JP Morgan, I guess there's like an easy way, and it's like going into like a really strong target school, joining a bunch of like business clubs, and then you more or less guarantee a spot in one of the large banks in the world or large consulting firms. But if you want to work in crypto, the journey is slightly different. While going to like Harvard, for example, definitely helps as like proof of like intelligence. There are like a ton of other ways that you can actually end up in the space. So you can just like write on Twitter, write on Substack. You can showcase, I guess, your own interest and your own skill set in a way which suits you best. And you're not like confined to like traditional tests and very traditional metrics. So it's kind of like a very level playing field where anyone, anywhere in the world, as long as you have access to the internet, and a computer or a phone, you can kind of like break into the space, given enough like time and effort, which is not so like common in other industries. So while I wouldn't recommend the space to everyone, everyone has quite an equal opportunity at this point, at least to actually work in the space if they want to do so. Yeah, and like for like general lessons that I've learned about the space is that like transparency is really everything. You shouldn't trust, you should always try to verify. And like a lot of projects in the space, at least in my view, don't really have a UI UX issue. Okay, I mean UI UX is not the best in the space, and that's like an open secret that everyone knows. But I would say like UI UX isn't the main issue. Like a lack of real product market fit is the main issue to me.
Anything about our current financial system